This weekend I was in a charity shop where I spotted this Otamatone, a toy synthesizer all the way from Japan. Now this one was still sealed in its original packaging and they only wanted £3 for it. However, I'd already decided that he was coming home with me before seeing the price tag because, well, how can you say no to that face? Anyhow, I took him home, put the batteries in, and was slightly disappointed to find that I couldn't get any sound out whatsoever. So of course I took the screws out, had a look inside, checked all the connections were clean and properly made, checked that the batteries had a good voltage, but really couldn't find anything obviously wrong. And that made me think that the problem was indeed with the battery compartment. And I've come up with a simple repair for that. I've got it working, and I'm going to show that in this video. Now all you're going to need for this, really, the magic ingredient, is some solder wick. Here I've got some 3mm solder wick. That's going to be used to bulk up the connections inside the battery compartment, and hopefully I can demonstrate that. And if you've got similar problems with your Otamatone, you might be able to get yours working using the same technique. Anyway, let's crack on. Here I have removed the battery compartment door, and you can see how the battery compartment is assembled. We've got these 3 batteries in here, all slightly unusually arranged with their positive terminals facing out, and it's up to these metal contact strips on the inside of the door to make a connection between each of the positive battery terminals and these exposed copper pads on the printed circuit board. And it is this connection that has failed on my particular Otamatone. In particular, it's the connection between the top of the metal contact strips here and these exposed copper pads. As I found, I scrunched up some tin foil and put it on the copper pads before screwing the battery compartment door back on very carefully, and I found that that actually got things working. However, that's a bit of a hacky fix, so what I'm going to show now is how to do a slightly neater job using some solder braid. So here I've got this 3mm wide solder braid, which will do a much tidier job. The first thing I need to do here is to take apart the battery compartment door by taking out these 2 screws. Once you've removed the 2 screws, you can separate the 2 halves of the battery compartment door by just pulling on one of these metal strips upwards like that, and it will come apart quite easily. These 3 metal strips can now be removed by just pulling each one up, and it should just unhook like that. Sometimes it might take a bit of wiggling. This one takes a lot of wiggling, but there we go. All 3 strips are out, and we can now start putting some solder braid in. Right, so I'm going to take my solder braid and I'm just going to take a piece out like this. I'm going to feed it in through the hole here and fold it down out of the way, so that's now sticking down like that. I'm going to take one of these metal strips, contact strips, so I'm going to put it through the hole and hook it back over like that. So that's now in place. And now I'm going to take the solder braid, fold it over the top like that, squish it down, make sure that's over like that, and go around to the back and just snip it off. There we go, like that. Fold that down, out of the way, nice and neat. And there we go, that's one contact strip, somewhat bulked up with some nice conductive copper. And I'll just repeat the operation for the next 2. Here we have all 3 contact strips reinforced with the solder braid, so now I just need to reassemble it in the original battery door. You can just put that in, oops, like that. Snap it together, make sure that's all free to move and aligned neatly, and then just pop the 2 screws back in. And of course the last thing to do is to check that it all works. So here I've got my updated battery door, just put that on the back there. Screw that down. Now the moment of truth, power on. Has that worked? I'd say it has. Oh, that's my first day.